bands on the beat, bitch. PD bands on the beat, bitch. on the beat, bitch.
Add music.
Yeah, yeah,
StreamYard
yeah.
Studio. WebView. StreamYard Studio. WebView.
Hold up. He's coming back.
StreamYard. Live stream
Like
studio
what?
created. Go live when you're ready. Mute microphone. Add music. Grand Acidoff. Mr.
Come on. We all in it tonight. All right now. We almost ready. We just setting up. We hope y'all ready.
Drag to move. Window YT music. Play video. Button. Tap to activate.
Marvin, here is your reminder.
Well,
It's time to start the Peasy Show.
is that so?
Mutable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Senate manipulates message.
Let's go. Hey. Yeah, let's go. Thank you.
Come on. Yeah. You know what.
Ah. And yo, this. Yeah, come on and get inside. Yeah, you know we on the live. Yeah, kick y'all. Let's get it, guy. Yeah. Now we got the vibe. Welcome to my room. Yes, I'm blind. Catch me Monday to Saturday live, 7 p.m. East Coast time. Yup. We on the rise. Kick off the shoes. Enjoy the ride. What we can do is motivate minds like Motivation Monday. All about your life. Yeah. Topics to try. Thinking inclined. Places to time. Think it can drive. Independent tribe. Yeah. Wait. And you don't talk to me. And PZ's up there might be the place where you can see time to me. So I like Saturdays. You remind me of the most cypher days. You know, Mike, you can rock the stage. Join the stage. Join with me in the PZ team. Be Weeble Peace. You know, blind to see. Yeah. Come on. Kill my PP Weeble Peace. I'm the blind to see. Let's go. We talking about it tonight. You know what I'm saying? What's good with your folks? Fear not. It is your boy. We here now. The Peasy Show is in your ear tonight. I fuss with you. You fuss with me. The blind MC. You know what it is. We here on the Talk About It Tuesday Eve. On the night of Halloween. Ooh, spooky. Nah, I'm just joking. But anyway, I ain't got nothing for you for that. You know what I'm saying? Happy Halloween other than that. But anyway, I do want to talk to you about today. The holiday has brought to me some kind of thoughts, you know what I'm saying? Like honestly, I don't know what you guys think about it, but like seriously, what are your thoughts when it comes to like this holiday? You know what I'm saying? Cuz like really, man, like what do we really get, you know what I mean, in observation of Halloween except for, you know, all of this stuff that we know or we don't even have, you know what I mean? It's like folklore, you know what I mean? Are you really gonna believe it, or is it just something that's been told as a story to keep people mindful of situations that can happen? You know what I mean? Like what does Halloween mean? You know? What does Halloween mean?
Halloween is the beginning of the 3-day observance of All Hallow Tide, which is a time in the liturgical year dedicated to remembering the dead. The name Halloween means hallowed evening, which comes from the Scottish term for All Hallows Eve.
Good education. Can you repeat that, please?
Sorry, there is nothing to repeat.
What does Halloween mean?
Halloween is the beginning of the 3-day observance of All Hallows Tide, which is a time in the
Dojo Beats, MRJ Egan's official Sapizi. Shows live now and censor live video to Dojo Beats. Watch it before it ends. Message, listeners, MRJ Egan's official Sapizi. Shows live now and censor live.
Swear to God, the one thing that happens when we're trying to get like good information, just key shit, it always happens to be something like that happens where some bullshit just comes kicking in out of nowhere. Look at this. Look at this shit. Look at this shit, people. Do you see this kind of crazy shit? This don't just happen anywhere, y'all. This happens only on the Peasy Show, y'all. Only on the motherfucking Peasy Show. Believe me when I say it. Like, oh my God. So crazy. But anyway, it's supposed to be a day of remembrance for the dead, right? Where did we lose that concept at? Because now I'm confused. Okay. Can you repeat that?
Sorry, there is nothing to repeat.
What does Halloween mean?
Halloween is the beginning of the 3-day observance of All Hallows Tide, which is a time in the liturgical year dedicated to remembering the dead. The name Halloween means hallowed evening, which comes from the Scottish term for All Hallows Eve.
All Hallows Eve. Okay. So where does Halloween get trick-or-treating?
From MiamiBeachCheap.com. Parks, shopping plazas, and festivals offer opportunities for kids to trick or treat for Halloween.
Oh my God. That is not what I asked, but that is a commercial reason to sit there and actually advertise on behalf of a so-called holiday. That is supposed to be something totally different, but we don't get that during this time of the year. Where did trick-or-treating come from?
Trick-or-treating started over 2,000 years ago in Scotland and Ireland, when children would go door to door for food and treats. This was called guising and included dressing in costumes and chanting rhymes.
Guising. Okay, so this must be a part of the celebration in the Scottish heritage as a representation of the dead. Okay. Now it makes sense. Because I'm lost still. But understand this. I'm only speaking to the knowledge of what I'm hearing. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so trick or treating. This is obviously Halloween is obviously a Scottish heritage. It's a Scottish tradition. It was church based, and it's crazy that it envelops such a weird approach to it now. I'll say, because I mean, what the hell? What the hell? This is a far cry from what the hell we just heard as a definition for this holiday. I'm very, very, very confused right now. Like, there are people actually having a party right now up the block, and like I probably was not gonna go, just wasn't. But shit happens. So for what it's worth, Oh, oh, oh. I'll just say it. Um, I don't get it. Like I didn't understand. Like I get now why, you know what I mean, the whole thing makes sense. You know what I'm saying? It's probably something heritage, you know, her traditionally passed down to the, you know what I mean, to the heritage to the you know, and I mean I get now, you know what I mean, it makes sense now, you know what I mean, but to me really boggles the mind why this is something of a nationwide thing, like, you know what I mean? And it's not even just nationwide things, like here, this is like international. There's a lot of people that celebrate the holiday, you know what I mean? But it's just for me, you know what I mean? I'm trying to understand it. I'm trying to get a wrap my head wrapped around it. What are y'all thinking about on this thing? Do y'all inform, you know what I mean, your children about this shit when y'all be sending before y'all send them out? Cause I mean, I'm dead ass. I didn't learn about nothing. Anything they just said on that screen. She just said to y'all earlier. I can tell you right now, I did not hear that in the school. I did not hear about Halloween like that in the school. When I first heard about Halloween, it was not described to me in that manner. Um, I remember Halloween. They say, "Yup, it's a day for everybody to get together, go to kids, go door to door." Not That's all I was told when I was a kid. Now I'm hearing this historic reach into the Hallows Eve. Okay, so that makes a little more sense. Can I get some more facts? Something else about Halloween.
Top results, button, about, I am
Known facts about Halloween.
top results, button, about.
Hold on, let's go back to the
Nothing else about Halloween. Top results, similar results, stash strength, customers off
go back to the home page.
4 of 13. Use level.
What are known facts about Halloween?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, Halloween comes from a Celtic festival for the dead called Samhain. Irish Celts believed the ghosts of the dead would roam the earth on this day, so people would dress up and leave treats out on their front doors for the roaming spirits.
Okay, now that sounds a bit closer to what the hell I was thinking. Because when you think the Irish, you got to think the Celtic. Okay. Okay. Mm. Oh, love the history lesson. It just gave me a nice refresher, understanding that, you know, this holiday is a Celtic tradition that symbolizes a recognition of the dead arising and roaming. I did not understand that. Other known facts about Halloween.
Here's something I found on reference.com. The holiday of Halloween derives from Halloween, is based on Samhain, and has symbols tied to Wiccans from the Middle Ages. For example, bats, black cats, and spiders are all important components of Halloween, and all were associated with witchcraft.
Huh? Huh? Did we not hear this? This is more along the lines of what we're listening for now. This all starts to play a very key role. and playing the manipulating part. Any other known facts about Halloween?
From all.edu. Halloween, or All Hallows Eve as it was originally known, dates back over 2,000 years back to a Celtic pagan holiday celebrated in Ireland, Britain, and Northern Europe as a day to honor the dead.
Okay, now just getting the full on facts. 2,000-year-old tradition, Celtic pagan holiday. Okay, get me the fuck out of here now. I see now why I said what I've been saying, and I just said it to keep myself sane. And I have been playing this around in my head for so long, trying to understand why so many people fall into this. Like, cause I mean, I'm just saying here, we all talking about holy shit. Excuse the language, but I'm just saying we are talking about it. And we're acting like this ain't a situation that involves unholy shit. Okay? Let me just address this now. We just saying this as we talking about this whole situation, celebrating this holiday. I'm only speaking on it to try to give y'all a little bit of a lesson. You know what I mean? Like we kind of should be doing this on these days because folks don't really realize the day they actually set out to put their celebratory significance on. You know what I mean? And honestly, when you see some of the people's reactions to some of these holidays and stuff, and realizing its origin really does play a part because you start to see similarities in how the reason why such a thing on its natural form wasn't shown to you, but it was actually commercialized and made so publicized in a way it was like, let's just make this the new Jesus. Like it could easily fall in line. Um, but yeah, like just saying from one person to another, you know what I'm saying? Known facts about Halloween.
The Cat in the Hat knows a lot about that button.
Oh yeah? So the cat in the hat knows a lot about that. Apparently it knows a lot about Halloween. The cat in the hat. Let's go to YouTube though. Let's see if YouTube knows something about Halloween. Facts about Halloween on YouTube.
Getting that from YouTube.
Let's see. Let's see if it actually finds something. Real facts. Let's see if we can find some.
Results for facts about Halloween. Row, 8 minutes. 1 second. Jazzy and friends get ready for the Monster High Monster Ball.
Nope.
Sponsored. Kids Phone TV. Press and hold for ad options. 101 people also watched. Row, the history of Halloween. Ryan Reed.
There it is. The history of Halloween.
4 weeks ago.
Let's get it. Let's see what it do.
5.
Yeah. We don't want to hear all that.
It's that time of year.
About.
Spirit Halloween
Captions.
stores have
I
appeared
like this.
typically
Toggle
out of
button.
nowhere. Your kids start planning their candy roots already. Some of you young parents are forced to dress up your kids, though you'd probably rather not. And that one weird neighbor creates a horror house to scare all the local children. Or maybe you are that weird neighbor. The National Retail Federation estimated that about $10 billion was spent on Halloween in 2021. That's billion with a B. And that's only one country. Historically, of course, only English-speaking countries celebrate Halloween.
Thank you.
More on that in a minute. So now it has gone global. We have now Halloween increasingly being celebrated in other European countries, though that practice is pretty new. And we now have Halloween in places like Japan, China, and around the globe, though each puts their own spin on it culturally. And all of this for a night that's not even a holiday.
Thank you.
So let's talk about where this comes from. This subject, the history of Halloween and subjects like it, is a different branch of history than most people are familiar with. I enjoy it, though it's not my main focus. My focus technically would be called intellectual history, though that term is a little bit overused. But obviously, I tend to spend a lot of time discussing the history of ideas. Folk history is what we are doing here. And for some, folk history is either frustrating or exhilarating.
Thank you. Frustrating more.
It comes down a lot to your temperament. If you're the kind of person that likes mysteries, where you have to piece together only fragments of information, and read between some lines, and you still, in the end,
Marvin, here is your reminder. It's time to smoke some dank for the West Coast.
Overview.
Well, while
Button.
we at
Window
it, we're
navigation
gonna
bar.
smoke it.
Double tap to activate.
that you wonder if anyone is listening to actual historians on the subject. Everyone knows that one person on social media who around the spouting out their faith, internet is simply lost on history and the divine. How do we work like this? In fact, just about all of our holidays work like this. When you ask where does Halloween or Christmas or Valentine's Day or some other holidays come from historically, you usually cannot get a straight answer, or at least a trained historian can't give you a simplistic answer.
Right.
Pop culture and people who love to troll each other love simplistic answers, however. We all hear that Saturnalia is the origins of Christmas, even though it's not. Aestra is the goddess of fertility, which gives us Easter, even though no such thing existed, and that's not the origins of Easter. The feasting of pilgrims and Native Americans pleasantly by the fire is where we get popcorn and Thanksgiving. And of course, Halloween is related to some druidic practice of warding off demon fairies. Real folk history, though, doesn't give us simple answers like this. Folk history, you might say, looks at all the ingredients that, when brought together, are always greater than the sum of their parts. Rather than finding the spot where something started and where it comes down to today, it's rather noticing, let's just use the word echoes, or themes, different sensibilities that come down through the centuries, or even over millennia, in the case of Halloween, to create a modern practice that you really can't pull these things apart. So the history of Halloween is exactly like this. We have several ingredients, not all of them ancient, that make up the story. But if I were to ask you, for example, is Halloween a practice that echoes back to the ancient Celtic practices? Or is it a Catholic holiday concerned with remembering the recently departed and praying for souls in purgatory? Or is it a harvest festival celebrating the coming of fall and the end of summer? Is it the product of Victorian horror literature in Hollywood? Is it a night of drunken parties and debauchery? Is it a with neo-pagans like Wiccans and others in the modern world? Or is it a wildly expensive night for parents as they burn money on costumes and candy? The answer is yes. And that's how folk history works. By the way, the same thing for Christmas.
Everything.
Is it secular, celebrating elf culture? Is it part of Catholic liturgy? Is it part of American culture and other cultures as they add their own flavors along the way? Yes, all the way down the line. And don't let me get me started on Valentine's. So
Wow.
what I did here is give you the big picture.
Wow.
I want to do a little bit of folk history and tell you the story of Halloween and all of these little ingredients that make up the modern practice. I'm not going to get into the question of should you participate in Halloween? What's your opinions? Is it dangerous? Is it too much for young kids to see all the spooky stuff? That type of thing. The question here is, where does it come from? How do we go from something that is several thousand years old all the way down to today where you have candy corn and pumpkins and a lot of modern practices?
Exactly.
Okay, let's start quickly with some of the more mythical story of the origins of Halloween. You can find this usually online, but the pop culture ways of describing Halloween, but the normal way that you hear it is something like the following. The ancient Celtic peoples of Ireland used to celebrate Samhain. And yes, it's spelled Samhain or Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain. And Samhain was the night when the door to the other world opened and the fey creatures entered the mortal world. Wraiths and demons and shadowy things that go bump in the night. And they dressed up in skins to ward off the evil spirits. November 1 was the Celtic New Year, and so this is the night of darkness and spiritual danger. And according to that same pop history, the Catholic Church comes along and they just say, hey, why not? And they adopt the same practices into the liturgical calendar. And they start calling it All Saints Day. Instead of warding off the demons, they're now somehow praying for the souls of those dead. And so November 1 becomes All Hallows Day or All Saints Day. And the eve, the day before that, is All Hallows Eve or Halloween. That's about the big picture you often hear. It was pagan, centered around druids offering blood sacrifices. And the Catholics just syncretistically took it on as part of their practice. But I think it's pretty obvious there's a lot missing in that story.
Trust.
But for some, that quick synopsis, that pop history, is enough to make them forever enemies of Halloween. When that Ninja Turtle and that Disney princess ring the doorbell, they shut off the light. Might as well open the door and tell the druids to get off your doorstep. Okay, maybe that's a bit much. But there are some who can't believe Halloween is anything but ancient demon worship. A lot of this myth comes from, frankly, one person. And that's where we're going to start. A man by the name of Charles Vallancey, a British civil engineer in the 1760s, is the origin of a lot of this type of demon worship idea. He was stationed in Ireland, and he was enamored with what he assumed was Celtic culture. And despite not being a scholar, he wrote a rather terribly researched and laughably written book on the primordial origins of the Celtics. I don't have time to go into this too much, but historians of Halloween often either laugh or hate this book because it gives us so many of the big myths that are often repeated online. The biggest howler is Samhain for the worship of a deity called Balsam, the Lord of Darkness. And he said that around Samhain, or what we call Halloween, the Celtic peoples are worshiping this Lord of Death. The problem is that the name Balsam, or Lord of Death, appears in no ancient text, and there is no reason to have said this. We are still a bit mystified as to where this comes from in his writings, but it does seem to confuse the ancient Mesopotamian deity Baal, which you sometimes see in the Old Testament, Baal worship, and he seems to have brought that into Celtic history. Baal Sab is Baal, Lord, Sab, Death. And that speaks a bit to the problem here, which I'm about to go into, which is this must have come from something dark and sinister. So if we find the origins of something dark and sinister, that's the smoking gun. The problem, though, is that nearly all the practices related to Halloween today, save only the date, derive from either Christian medieval practice or from modern American history. It doesn't come from Baal Sab or things like this, at least not fundamentally. So, for example, in this video so far, I've shown lots of pictures of things we associate with Halloween. Pumpkins, corn, candy, trick-or-treaters. But all of these are American inventions, and pretty recent ones, too. So the fact that all of this is associated with Halloween, and yet it only arrives in the New World, should tell you a bit that Halloween is as much modern as it is ancient. So what I want to say is that simply telling one part of the story, the part of Samhain, and trying to make it entirely Celtic, is a bit like saying that a cake is nothing but eggs, simply because it has eggs in it. In folk history, it's the mixture of the ingredients that matters most. Yes, Samhain is part of the story, and I'm going to tell that story. But in fact, Hollywood and American culture are the more dominant factors when it comes to the rise of Halloween.
Ha.
Okay.
That's where you gotta look at that. Now, what the fuck are we looking at, people? We're looking at some truth bombs dropping.
Let's look at the actual ingredients that make up Halloween. The academic study of Halloween is actually a phenomenon that's pretty new. It's about 30 or 40 years old. But we have a fairly strong grasp on all the different ingredients. First, we do have a vague history of the Celtic practices surrounding the celebration of Samhain. And when I say vague, I don't mean that condescendingly. Second, we have the development of Catholic liturgical practices in the calendar over about 1,000 years. And it gave rise to what we today would call Hallowtide, or the celebration of the saints and praying to the dead in purgatory. Third, we have colonial American culture, which eradicates major portions of the Irish and Scotch-Irish into the New World.
Mm.
And with them comes the old cultural legacy of sewing. And fifth, you have the rise of the modern middle class, pop culture, horror movies, candy corns, and the start of this costuming, trick-or-treating practice that kids love today. There are twists and turns to each of these pieces of the story, and each has an opportunity to go really deep. I'm not going to do that, though. I just want to give you the big picture and to point to the ways that this history is, again, a bit more of an echo down through time, and show how the practice of Halloween is a mixture of lots of different elements. Okay, first, Celtic history. When we discuss Celtic history, we need to have a bit of caution here. As I've said in other videos, the Celtics were not simply Irish, though they later would be associated with Irish heritage. But as far back as the writings of Julius Caesar in his History of the Gallic War, there's always been only a vague understanding of those tribes to the north. And I don't mean that we know nothing, but the Celtoi, as the Romans called them, spread throughout much of modern Ireland, Britain, and down into Germany and France. They are the general people who lived north of the Roman boundaries. And they were some of the so-called barbarians who later came to conquer Rome in later centuries. They left no writings, though they probably were literate. And more importantly, most of what we know about them is written down later by Christian missionaries in the high to later Middle Ages.
Wow.
There's quite a bit of a gap between their existence and the writing down of their
That shit's crazy. So what you think about that?
Ireland specifically, however, does relate to Halloween. The Celtic people
That's what I'm saying.
Believing in a variety of deities. They were led in their practice by an elite class of druids, though you have to see druids in the Celtic world less as Dungeons and Dragons, and more as, say, the royal and spiritual advisors in the court of Pharaoh. They were equally in charge of giving counsel to the king as they were of performing rituals.
Here is shit.
The Celtic afterlife was called the land of summer, and the passage between summer and autumn was a big deal for their culture.
I bet.
And that day was sundown, October 31st, or so. On that night, the passage between the afterlife and the mortal world opened up. So that part of Samhain is true. This idea that October 31st is when the spiritual creatures, largely negative, come into our world. But it was more than just a spiritual time. Samhain was also a harvest festival, to use our language, for the Celtic people. I often point out that for those who think that Harvest Festival is somehow less Celtic or pagan than Halloween, well, I'm sorry, they're all pagan, at least if you want to point to the origins of these types of things. The
Yeah.
celebration of the end of summer and the passing into autumn. But this was a time for slaughter and a great feast. And probably, as one historian pointed out, the only time that most Celtic people had access to alcohol. It was a wild night, to say the least. It was also a politically important night. There was, for example, a gathering at Tara, sort of a seat of kings for Celtics back then, where a giant bonfire and rituals were performed. Judgments would also be rendered against enemies, people who had committed crimes and the like, and those who were found guilty were executed. There were also sport and festivals, laughter, the young and unmarried flirting, looking for a potential partner. In my mind, I don't know why, I always have that image from the scene of the movie Brave, where all the kings are drinking and sporting and handling business and trying to find suitors for marrying the young. I mean, the movie is based in Scotland, it kind of fits. That's what Samhain would have been more like. Equal parts raucous party, politically important gathering of political leaders, and a story of magic and fairy creatures and the spirits of those around them. The big bonfire that the Druids tended was also a form of a tax. People would extinguish the hearth fires at their homes, and they would come to Samhain, and they would pay their yearly tax to the Druids, and receive an ember from which they would go back and light the hearth again. Sort of a convenient way of taking a census, keeping track of everybody, and making sure that everybody pays their due. In other words, October 31st for the Celtic people was more than just spooky goblins and boarding off the dead, and that's the important factor. We spend way too much time talking about the other world opens up and all these spirits come in, and they would dress up in animal skins and the like in order to ward this off. It's more than that. It is significantly important for the Celtic people. It is a time where they gather and have a festival, you might say. It was culturally rich, with mischief to blood sacrifice. And that's the important thing a lot of pop history doesn't understand. You can remove the pagan practice of druid worship, blood sacrifice, and many of these elements, and still retain the cultural importance of sowing for the Celtic people. And that, in fact, is essentially what happened when the Catholic faith came to Northern Europe. By the 7th century, after the work of St. Patrick in the 6th century, of course, St. Patrick is the patron saint of the Irish, Ireland and other countries to the north become Catholic. Like many countries north of Rome, however, including the Scandinavian regions, Germanic, and Frankish tribes, certain cultural practices were still held on to. It's a bit like saying if you remove the religion, you still have essentially a 4th of July party around the time of October 31st. Now, yes, it's very simplistic, but the cultural significance of that night and those parties and those gatherings remain long after Ireland and Britain become Christian. But
Get
also
it?
in the Catholic Church, you have the evolution, you might say, of the liturgical calendar. About the mid-8th century, Pope Gregory III moved the traditional Feast of Martyrs to November 1st. This feast was a memorial day for those who had died for the faith in the ancient church. However, two things are at play here.
See?
First, November was, as Thomas said,
Off.
the most
Show comment on
important time
stage.
in the Roman calendar.
Toggle button.
Did
2 of
I
2.
did I
2
not
items.
tell you that shit?
Meanwhile,
Double
Come
tap to
on.
toggle.
those to the north are continuing their history of celebrating
Live stream
the
studio
summer,
created. Go
what's
more.
essentially a
Yes.
cultural harvest
Button.
festival.
Double tap
The
to activate.
festival officially makes All Saints Day, as it came to be known, November 1st.
Mm.
Moving dates around like this, by the way, is not a big deal in the Middle Ages. November 2nd, then, about the year 1000, becomes All Souls Day. It's a long process from that happening, but it becomes another day in the calendar. So what happens is that by the 1300s, a very long time, mind you, after the conversion of Ireland and Britain, you now have what we call Hallowtide. But notice how relatively late and how relatively un-Celtic a lot of the history of Hallowtide has become. It's actually heavily Catholic. There is certainly some of what we would call syncretism, or the mixing of pagan and Christian elements here. So it is questionable how some simply say, well, Celtic paganism is the same as medieval praying to the saints. It shouldn't take much to realize the difference between blood sacrifice and warding off spooky demons is different than a Catholic mass where you're praying for the dearly departed in purgatory on their way to heaven. I find some of that to be a bit disingenuous. It takes a modern sort of cynicism to say that, well, all engagement with the spiritual afterlife must be the same and it must be pagan in origins. There is, however, a practice in the Catholic Church in the Middle Ages of what you might call taking over, or you might even call it conquesting the pagan world. Famously, it was believed that whenever you convert an area to Christianity, you don't knock down their pagan shrines, rather you go in there, take out everything that is pagan, and put a cross and an altar up. There's a sort of, this is our land now, our church now, and these are our dates now. I question whether or not that's fully syncretism or not. Also, by the time of the Renaissance, which is about where we are now, you don't really have a lot that we would call modern Halloween yet, other than the dates. You have a time of remembering those who have passed. You have a time of praying for the dead in purgatory. And you have, for those in Britain and Ireland, a cultural heritage of sowing that has now become a time of mischief and partying and a big bonfire. But throughout most of Europe, there was nothing that is associated with what we would today call Halloween in its sort of fine details. The one thing that is close is something called souling. And this is a practice where children would go around singing, knocking on doors, and asking for treats or ale or something like this on All Hallows Eve. Think of it a bit as a cross between trick-or-treating and caroling. Kids want the good stuff, they go around knocking on a holy day. And by the way, people act like that is something abnormal. That happened on all holy days. It's often forgotten. A holy day was when you were supposed to be actually generous to the least of those around you.
True.
And getting food out to those in need. Children like to go begging, so to speak. But it's not exactly trick-or-treating. It's souling, but it's very similar, and it's around the same time of year. So to summarize at this point,
Wow.
the Celtic practice of sowing, the Catholic Church converts those regions.
Wow. Wait a minute, y'all. Did you just hear this man say something that I think y'all really should just hear that?
Skip back 20. Skip into sewing. 19 minutes. 59. Skip
Yeah.
10 seconds.
Bro, I just said that shit.
19 minutes. 42 seconds. skip into sewing.
Kids want to do
19
stuff.
minutes,
They go around
42
knocking
seconds
on a
at
holy day.
28
And by the way,
minutes,
people act like that's
29
something
seconds.
abnormal. That happened on all holy days. It's often forgotten. A holy day was when you were supposed to be actually generous to the least of those around you, giving alms and giving food out to those in need. Children like to go begging, so to speak. But it's not exactly trick or treating. It's souling, but it's very similar, and it's around the same time of year. So to summarize at this point, you have the ancient Celtic practice of sowing. The Catholic Church converts. Those regions become Catholic. The
Wow.
cultural memory of sowing remains. The calendar then gets developed to where those same dates become an important time of the memory of those who have died. And so they become high holy days. You had a practice of souling and ringing of bells, and it was, you might say, several days off and a bit of a raucous time. There would be drinking and feasting, but it's not Halloween as you and I know it.
What's up?
So where did that come from?
Travel modern. 106
No.
seconds.
See, I don't get that, man. I'm not getting it, y'all. I'm just not. I'm having a bit of a disconnect, mainly because I don't understand how y'all are letting your kids recognize this shit and like not see these are like these are facts this man is giving us right now, right?
Start making
Y'all
some
know
sense
that.
here. There's a lot that I'm going to skip over, but again, I'm staying big picture. For example, there's Guy Fawkes Night, November 5th, which my friends in Britain still celebrate today. Another big bonfire, another big festival around the same time. There's also little twists and turns in Scottish and Irish history. There's lots of pieces and their heritage about Halloween remain. What I want to jump to, though, is the question of how does this liturgical practice in Catholic Europe come to the New World in America, which for most of its history has very, very anti-Catholic tendencies. It's very strange if you think about it that way.
That's what
Now,
I'm saying.
a jump. Halloween is Catholic because it's related to All Saints Day and All Souls Day. And you have to be Catholic to be praying for those in purgatory. How does jolly old Protestant America start to take this on? So I want to talk about that real quick. The simple answer is that colonial America strips Halloween, or that first week of November, of all of its Catholic sensibilities. It's worth remembering that those who first came to the colonies were not Catholic. In fact, they were almost universally staunchly anti-Catholic. As I'm going to say in a minute, this will change. But the important part of the story is that what happens to Halloween in America is not that it's a pagan holiday that takes root in the New World. Rather, it's a formerly Catholic practice, part of the liturgical calendar, that in America loses all of its traditional Catholic flavor. Also, as you can imagine, it loses its British and Irish flavor in the colonial days as well, as the new ferment of American pride begins to grow. There were few to no Irish immigrants in those early days, and so anything that would be traditionally Celtic was very minimal. In other words, in America, Halloween in the colonial days is stripped of almost all of its traditional practices. This happened with Christmas as well. That's another video, another conversation, but here at New England, for example, outlawed both of these days. No Halloween, no Christmas, no fun. What America did excel at, though, was an appreciation for the fall harvest. Looking ahead, this is where the idea of Thanksgiving will also start to come about.
Wow.
Incoming meta video call from Andrea Moss. 7:42 p.m. Messenger. Love of my life.
Hold on,
Video
y'all.
call from Messenger. Decline. Button. Answer.
The fall harvest idea in America begins to take
Hey,
shape.
baby, you're live with the
Some of
Peasy
the
Show.
things that we will eventually associate with Halloween are all
No,
American.
I'm almost there though.
Pumpkins, corn, these types of things are all native to the
Okay,
world.
baby, I love you. I'll call
But
you
in
later.
American colonial days, this is wrapped up in the idea of the harvest. However, by the 1800s, you start to have for the first time Irish and Scottish immigrants coming over and bringing with them the more raucous, fun-loving ideas associated with Halloween and sowing. So the American practice of harvest festivals now gets injected with a more Irish sensibility of the heritage of the past. It still doesn't take on Catholic elements, but the cultural Irish elements do come into play. And so it is in the 19th century that some of the more mischievous elements of Halloween start to come about. Those Irish pranksters would come over, and on Halloween night would start to pull trick-or-treat
Cash
pranks.
App's being stupid.
It's just part of the old world.
I just realized that
And with the rise of Catholics in
somehow
America, which
I'm
begins
not
about the
able
same
to
time, you do have a greater appreciation in
You know what I
America
mean?
for the Halloween season. But Halloween is now its own thing. It's neither pagan nor Catholic. It is now part of Americana, you might say. And of course, yes, I'm living on a lot of history of Britain and Ireland during the same
That
time.
shit is
I'm
just
focused on America
weird.
right now. The last two ingredients in this
Absolutely
become the most
Von
immediately recognizable.
Von Dovey wide weird,
First and foremost,
y'all.
is the rise of the horror genre in entertainment. We often call this Victorian
Yeah.
Gothic. This is the late 1800s, or the Victorian horror literature genre. And it's easy to forget how common horror movies and scary movies and spooky ghost stories and entertainment of this kind are for us today. But this comes from the Victorian era. Frankenstein's monster and Dracula are the two most commonly recognizable stories from that period. But there are plenty of others. And then, with the rise of Hollywood, the natural thing was to bring some of that Victorian horror genre onto the big screen. And that form of entertainment has been with us ever since. And so over time, horror movies became associated with the fall. It wasn't pagan, it was entertainment driven. And lastly, it is only in the 1900s, the 20th century, with the rise of the middle class after the World Wars and the increased consumer spending that happens, that you finally get the crystallization of Halloween. Celebrations of the fall were common, only now we have suburbs. And that agrarian life is largely lost. But we have the rise of the entertainment industry. And we have this middle class that wants to have fun, rites of passage, fun moments for their children, and the practice of trick-or-treating around the time of Halloween began to grow as well. Probably the earliest is in the early 1900s, but it quickly catches on. As I said when my kids were young, they like to dress up and eat candy every day of the year. And the fact that there's one day of the year where they can do it without any problem was A-okay in their book. But it's around the 1950s, the Leave It to Beaver age, where you have the mass production of Halloween costumes, where you have trick-or-treating, and you have this concept that the suburban life is one on Halloween, where you go around to the neighbors, you knock on doors, and in a very polite way, you get candy. But built into it as well is this spooky idea that is driven by Hollywood and entertainment. And needless to say that by the 1950s, most of the long twists and turns throughout history, from sewing to medieval Catholics to the Renaissance to colonial America, had been largely lost. Now, in the 1900s, Halloween was, in American culture, its own thing. And now, in the 21st century, the idea that October 31st is a time of dress up, partying, candy, fun with your kids is all that's cemented.
Duh.
Okay, so
Like-
give it a big picture of the story of Halloween. You can go into the comments and list all kinds of things.
That's what I wanted to hear though.
Suggested
And
searches.
I'm just saying,
Results for facts about Halloween were 2 hours, 1 minute, 11 seconds. Spooky Baby Shock Halloween.
I'm sorry, but
Sponsor.
I think we just got a real history lesson right here today. Because man, listen, that was some real knowledge right there, y'all. We just learned a real backstory on Halloween. Today's now international seemingly holiday, you know. And he's already telling you there's places like China, Japan, India, shit like that celebrating it. Now it's like it's just crazy. It's just this is starting to this is nuts. Okay, and in the same sense, you know, we get the modern new ideal. It's kind of, you know, it's real nice. It's real sweet. You know, when you look at it, gesturing, all of that. I look, still, homie, like this shit has gotten. Not only has it gotten commercialized in such a way because of how it landed on this rock that we call the U.S. of A. You know what I'm saying? Because he did tell it to us. He did tell it to us. It wasn't this way. It wasn't supposed to be given to us this way. We weren't supposed to learn about and be enriched into this heritage from this particular angle. See, the heritage has a history, and it carries with it such a weird history, no less. Not it just, I feel like in many ways you want to represent anything, you know, with this whole situation. I first personally, what I'm saying, get my head wrapped around just like the fact, okay, I fucking appreciate, okay, it's a day where, folks represent, folks that have passed on, you know, I see that, you know what I mean? I see that it's a day to pray for the, and then, and it, that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to hear in this original sewing thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, that's the whole thing. Like, I need a little more clarity in this heritage and this custom, because this is something that really streaks into, like I said, this is the way that these things have formed because of certain cultural what I mean, elements, you know what I mean. So you look at that, and then you look at the fact that the history of our world has to play a part in this as well, because all of these shifts in the culture itself, between the holiday itself, have shifted due to people migrating, moving, and spreading the word of whatever their previous missions were, purposes and proposed missions were at that point. Okay, this historic thing happened, and it's happening now. We're like over 2,000 years into this, and we're celebrating a heritage of a culture of, what I mean, from a culture of people, that were really, like, what I'm saying, like, we don't have to understand to know that this has so many adaptations to it, that you still see even in days like this, where ominous shit like this starts to attach itself because of it. And then it's like, what do you say to that? What do you say to the fact that, you sit in these positions and you're trying to, speak to you're trying to speak on, like, what it could mean for you as a person celebrating these holidays with your family, you know what I mean? Doing this out here, and and being a public advocate for something like this, you know what I'm saying? That shit right there is real truth right there, though, bro. Like, I'm just saying, like, you know, I don't know where to I don't know where to look from that, because you got to look at the fact that the pagan holiday, the paganists picked it up at the same time. They influenced enough of it to carry it out into the modern era. You know what I mean? Even in that sense, you know what I'm saying? Because it does still attach itself to it. You see what I'm saying? And although it forms from, a hair a straight up, not even relative to the now modern culture of this holiday, you know what I'm saying? It just stems from something that really didn't, what I mean, didn't even show up in most people references. Like, you think about it, you think if we had known that at times like that people were making gestures like this during holy times, holy days, coming over to neighbor's house, knocking and shit to get sweets and kids and treats and stuff from their neighbors. Don't you think if we'd have known, if they'd have taught stuff like this in school, that you know what I mean, they would have actually made a little more of an impact on knowledge for all of us kids, except for the fact that maybe it would have given them a little more depth in understanding what the holiday truly is, you know what I'm saying, and where it derives from. See, and that's what we need to understand. Like, I think this is stuff that we miss out on as, you know, as people grow into this whole thing called life, you know what I mean? And this is shit that I swear to goodness, man, listen, had it not been for what we just heard and witnessed over this the YouTube clip that we just got from, you know what I'm saying, just pulling up random conversations and you asking Alexis to give us some of that good stuff that she knows how, you know what I mean? We pulled out some real interesting information from just, you know, clicking in and getting some good details on backstory of this history of this holiday, this day that's not even really a holiday. And that's crazy. He mentioned it and said it like that. It's like, come on, y'all. This can't be us. This can't be life. This can't be right. You know what I mean? It's gotta be more. This can't be us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying. But in the time like where we all have these types of, you know, things going on, we all have to realize, you know what I'm saying, that we do a lot of this to keep our head in the idea of what is right and what is going to, you know, give our children an experience of something that could, you know, influence good nature in a person. You know what I mean? Um, I see a lot of that, you know, trying to take place there because, you know, parents choose to take this opportunity to invest in having, you know, teams of them going out with their children to do the trick or treats and, you know, making that run, seeing their, you know, their folks and all of these good things going on in that time, you know what I mean? So we look at that, you know what I mean? But like I said, you know, it's up to you, man. You tell me what you think about it. We just wanted to check in with you to see what you think about it. And if you got something to say about it, you know what to do. Hit the bottom board. You know what I'm saying? Drop the comments. You know what I'm saying? Because we got a little more for you. We can always hear you out. We'll definitely hear what you got to say when you come through the way. You know what I'm saying? We trip in with you. But until then, folks, I got nothing but love for you. But we got to ride on out of here soon. We got a few minutes left, and it's time to get you right with the theme song. Get you out there. Don't forget, uh, New Wave Music Wednesday is open tomorrow, and please send me your music so we can get that thing started. You know how we do it. We got you already live on 7 p.m. You better be ready for when it comes through, cause it's ready for you every time you come through 7 p.m. True. We own it. New Wave Music Wednesday all day long. You know what I mean?
Video button.
Till then, peace and
Tap
love
that.
to your peoples. Hey. Yeah, 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 yeah. Come on. Yeah, yeah. You know what time it is. Hey. Okay. And yo, haha. And grab yourself some popcorn, baby. It's on live. Coming to you live. Yeah. You know we on the time. Uh-huh. Yeah. We got the look into my yeah. Yeah, yeah. Word. The worst thing. But I like Saturday, but I'm on Saturday.
about to stay. 30 minutes on the screen. So what you come over me? Part of me in the team. I call my PD. We on the policy. What you come over me? You be a party in DC.
Call my peeps. Catch me weekly on the blind and see, you know it.
Overview. Button.
Tell them. Come
Live
on,
stream
let's talk
created.
about
Go
it.
live.
Talk about it.
More. End.
Come
End the
on,
stream.
talk about it.
Dialogue. End the stream. Heading 2.
Uh-huh.
End the stream. Dialogue.
Yeah.
End the stream. Heading 2. Double tap to activate.
Uh-huh. On live. Yeah. You know we on the time. Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate y'all for checking it out. Catch us on the recap, no doubt. Much love to all y'all. Y'all know what we do. We here for you. It's P Weezy. Yeah.
Motivation on a Monday, topics to try on a Tuesday, new wave music on a Wednesday, thought back Thursday, Friday, can't wait to the open mic. Got a soccer on Saturday, do it like a holiday, ain't nobody better with the pizza shows me
Do
come
it
every
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 weekday.
Close mode. End the